Welcome back to the Traders Network. I'm Michael Yorba, your host. Thanks for joining us. We're also streaming to you live on yorbamedia.com and broadcasting to you from the Dallas KFXR 1190 AM Clear Channel studios. All right, it's my pleasure to bring on Geert, Kersten, CEO, CEL-SCI Corporation. Geert, welcome to the show. How have you been?
Thank you, Michael. I've been well, thank you. And you're in Dallas, where it's warm, and I'm in Washington, D.C., where it's snowing right now.
All right, well, you got to come on down here and visit us. Let me open up some of that southern hospitality to you. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, symbol on your company, if I got this right, C is in cash, V is in victory, and M is in money. Is that correct?
That's a good way of putting it, yes.
Okay. Well, I came up with that because I saw what you do. Let me back up a little bit. You've been in this industry for some time about cancer immune therapy for 2 decades. You're a pioneer in the field. Let me back up a little bit because there's no way I could introduce you as well as you can introduce yourself. Tell our audience a little bit of background on you, if we could, and then I really want to get into your company.
Well, I'm just a simple lawyer. I have an undergraduate degree in accounting, an MBA in finance, and a law degree. So naturally, I ended up in biotech.
Okay.
And the reason I ended up in biotech is because I thought it makes absolute sense that the immune system must have a place in the treatment of cancer. And we came up with that idea when very few people thought of it. And only in the last 2 years, or maybe even the last 1 year, that's kind of caught on. But I believe it has to have a place. And we actually have taken it one step further. We say you must treat the immune system before surgery, radiation, or chemo, because think about it. Where's your immune system after you've had chemo? Where is it after you've had radiation?
It's done. It's kaput.
But it's never been done. No one has ever tried what we're doing. Doesn't it make logical sense to boost the immune system while it's still healthy?
Yes.
But it's never been done. That is both the opportunity, but also that is why it's taken us a long time to get into this final phase 3 study.
Okay, let's start about that. You're developing an immune system drug that works in the body. Open that up for us. Tell everybody about that part.
It's a mixture of human cytokines. Those are the substances that regulate your immune system. Interferons, interleukins, growth factors, you make them right now. We essentially, in its most basic form, copy what you as a healthy person manufacture, and we administer it locally in the area of the tumor in slightly larger but still very low dosages, so it's not toxic. Mm-hmm. And what we want to do is we want to help your immune system, while it's still healthy, before surgery, radiation, chemo, to see the cancer. Because how is it possible that you as a healthy person get cancer? You shouldn't be, because your immune system should kill it. Well, the cancer is very insidious. It makes itself invisible.
Let me jump in there with this. Are you saying that through your, is it I would imagine a fluid you're injecting into somebody's body? All right.
It's injected around the tumor.
Okay. This fluid that you're injecting around the tumor to boost the immune system, are you saying that there is hope that actually could reduce the ability for cancer to spread and contain it into an area, and then maybe even attack it to the point where it reduces the amount of cancer that's in the body? Is that where we're going with this?
Yes, that's why we're in phase 3. If we didn't have that, we're approved in 12 countries on 3 continents, including the United States, for what is the largest head and neck cancer phase 3 study ever conducted.
Okay.
And head and neck cancer is a really nasty one, about 6% of the world's cancer.
It is, but I would imagine it's universal treatment with your immune system.
We are actually, yes, this is not just specific to head and neck cancer.
Right.
We've tested it in a few other cancers, and we saw some very early immune responses, but we can't say that that it works or anything like that. But interestingly, we just signed a deal with the U.S. Navy with the exact same medicine that we're testing against head and neck cancer in phase 3, and the Navy will develop our drug as a treatment in HIV-infected men and women with anal warts. And these are huge growths on people's behinds. That comes from the human papillomavirus, the number one sexually transmitted disease, which in HIV-infected people is very serious because their immune system is weakened. So our drug really is, the way I look at it, and this is why I've stuck with it for such a long time, it is a true immune system drug, not specific to one disease. Okay. And the potential for that, in my mind, is mind-boggling, and that's why I've stuck with it.
Well, definitely the world needs what you're doing. So let's back up, slow down just a little bit, and talk about the treatment process. You inject it into somebody. How long is, and I know that you haven't done human trials yet, but so far from the trials...
Oh, no, we are. We're in phase 3 human trials.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, no, it's the last phase of human testing.
Oh, okay.
We've done a lot of human trials published in top-notch journals.
Tell me about the treatment process. How long? What happens? Take us from soup to nuts on that thing.
In head and neck cancer, usually drugs for cancer are developed for dying cancer patients. So it's easy to get approval for your experimental drug to be used because there's nothing left for these patients. Everything's been tried. And our situation is very different. Our patients have just been diagnosed and they haven't received any treatment yet. We're allowed to give our experimental drug for a period of 3 weeks, and no longer, because anything longer would constitute a delay in the approved treatments, and you cannot delay the approved treatments for an experimental drug. So in these 3 weeks, we inject our drug around the tumor, not into the tumor, and below the ear to drain into the lymph nodes just above your throat, because recurrence, or most of the recurrence in head and neck cancer, comes in the area of the tumor and in the lymph nodes. We aim to activate what is still a relatively healthy immune system before chemo and radiation, and have that immune system now see the cancer. And actually, it's not the cancer that we're worried about. We're worried about the micrometastases outside of the cancer that you can see. Because you can cut the cancer out, and still half of these people will still be dead a few years later.
Mm-hmm.
But what kills you is not the actual tumor; it's the stuff you cannot see. How do you find it? Well, they tried radiation and chemo to kill it. Well, that clearly didn't work because it didn't improve survival a great deal. So we say activating the immune system while it's still relatively healthy to find these micrometastases and kill them should reduce the recurrence rate. And if you have less recurrence, ergo, you have increased survival.
All right, so
we believe we saw that in phase 2, and now the phase 3 has to prove it.
So this is a 3-week process and no more.
That's correct. 3 weeks and no long treatments. Exactly.
And
by the way, it's outpatient treatment. People just go home, they get their injections, sit around for half an hour, go home.
Wow. That's amazing stuff. All right, now, after you've given the treatment, have you had, what have you seen so far when it comes to the next stage, radiation chemo? What happens there?
Well, you still, because with the experimental drug, you're not allowed to change anything in the current treatments that follow.
Right.
Which is right now surgery, radiation, chemo. This is such a nasty cancer, we throw everything at it. Down the road, once we're on the market, whether a patient wants to actually have his or her tongue cut out or maybe skip the chemo in addition to the radiation, all of those are patient and doctor-specific questions. But up to the point that we're approved, that cannot be changed.
Right. But what you've gone through so far, they'll go through 3 weeks of treatment with you. Then they'll move into chemo first, and then they go over to radiation.
Actually, they go into surgery first.
Surgery?
It's one standard of care worldwide. It's such a bad disease that they use everything on these patients. Surgery, radiation, and chemo. And by the way, there hasn't been much improvement over the last few decades.
Hey, you don't have to tell me any of this stuff. My wife just died February 3rd of colorectal cancer, and I was there from A to Z on this whole thing, so I know all about that stuff and how it doesn't work. So what you're saying is, what I'm trying to get from you before we go to a commercial break is, does this help that other process that everybody has to go through, the surgery, the chemo, and the radiation?
Let me put it this way. I think we will be able to show that, but I can't say anything. I can't make any definite statements at all because the phase 3 study needs to prove all of that.
Got it. All right, let's do this. Let's take a break because you really lit me up here on the show today. Let's take a break right now. Cover the rest of the content about your treatment and all the breakthrough that you've got. But before we go, please contact information for you. So anybody that wants to start up a conversation with you about what we brought to the table today, they can do that.
My contact information is the phone number is 703-506-9460, 703-506-9460. We're based in Northern Virginia. And
CEL- or -SCI.com for the website, right?
That's correct, yes. CEL-SCI.com.
And if anybody's interested, C is in cash, V is in victory, and M is in money for the symbol. This thing has taken off from 60 cents to $1.64 in what? Since the beginning of the year?
That's
Nice work. All right, let's go take a break right now, and we'll be back with more content on the other side of this segment, okay? And special thanks to Monk Media and 1-800-PublicRelations.com for all their media and PR support. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Traders Network. I'm Michael Yorba, your host, broadcasting to you from the Dallas KFXR 1190 AM Clear Channel Studios and streaming on yorbamedia.com. My guest is Geert Kersten. He is the CEO of CEL-SCI Corp, symbol C as in cash, V as in victory, and M as in money. All right, Geert, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Okay, you got me really worked up about this. We're finishing up on the other conversation about the 3 weeks and what happens and what's been going on so far with this. But let me back up just for a little bit because you also have, from what I can understand here, a very good safety profile. So bring that out because there's got to be some downside to this, and I want to address the safety profile.
The safety profile is injection site soreness because you stick a fine needle around the tumor. Retrograde bleeding because you stick a needle in, you get a little bit of bleeding, an occasional headache, and that's pretty much all we've seen.
That's your downside?
Yes.
Well, I'll take that. Okay. You mentioned in the last segment talking about phase 3 studies. So let me slow down because I understand you're in 12 countries, 3 continents, and obviously the United States, Canada, and Europe. But talk to me about your partners in the phase 3 studies with the National Cancer Institute.
The National Cancer Institute, the people there feel that ours represents a new way, potentially, of treating cancer. So they're really interested. You've heard of the term personalized medicine. Mm-hmm. They are looking for markers that may determine whether you're a 100% responder, I'm only a 50% responder, and another person only a 25%. Because if we are right, we would become standard of care for 6% of the world's cancer patients, very first treatment right after diagnosis. Wow. There's no way we can supply that market for many, many years. So you would want to allocate it on the basis of indicating who is the person who is likely to have the highest kind of response. So the National Cancer Institute, at their cost, are doing all of those tests for genetic and molecular markers. We have several corporate partners. We have Teva Pharmaceuticals, who are enrolling patients in Israel. They have marketing rights for Israel and several other countries. We have retained the U.S. and Europe to ourselves because that's the real upside financially for the investors, and it gives you options. I think options are the best way of creating value in the end. And then we have a company called Orient Pharma, who has rights to part of the Far East, and they have 9 centers in Taiwan where they are also enrolling as part of the phase 3 clinical trial. And then we have a European group that is also responsible for most of the enrollment, and they put $10 million of their own deal in. What's really interesting is not only they're being repaid only if our drug comes to market, because they're being repaid from sales of our drug. I think that is the best incentive for them to conduct the study quickly and conduct the study well. That is exactly what they're doing right now.
I was going to say very good deal making on your part with that. What do you, obviously it's a multi-billion-dollar market, but what are you thinking that the market looks like for your company with that? I mean, if you can say that, don't say anything you're not supposed to, but you know what I mean?
Okay. If you look at Google, why is Google so great? Then most people will tell you it's a search engine. No, to me, Google is so great because it equalizes the playing field around the world. You could be sitting in Timbuktu or in Washington, D.C., or in Dallas. You have access to the same information. So if you have a brain and access to Google, you can compete with one another. Therefore, it's the power of the idea. The power of the idea of our product, I believe, will be greater than the benefit we can provide for patients at the beginning. Right now, people accept surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy as their first cancer treatments because there is nothing else out there. If you can show them that you can stimulate the immune system and do so without these horrific side effects and have a drug that works with the body, they will no longer want to accept the old treatments. They will question. And once humans question, that sets in place a revolution. So I believe that is the true value. What's the financial value of that? I have no idea. But if you captivate someone's mind, then the value of that as it translates into money is probably quite high.
That's a very good way to put that. I just wanted to compliment you on that. Now, let me jump in there for another second. You also have made other executive decisions that have paid out handsomely. One of which was, if I remember correctly, implementing your preferred team on the phase 3 trials. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, say it again. Implementing my preferred team?
Yes, you've implemented a preferred team. You've changed the deck chairs, so to speak, and have implemented a new team.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I don't. Yes, that made a huge difference. I replaced the people who were running the phase 3 study. The new people are the ones who came in and put $10 million of their own money in, and it's amazing how hard people work when they put $10 million of their own money in. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, no kidding. When did you make that change?
We made it in April of last year.
Okay. And shortly after that change, your stock bottomed out at 60 cents and just took right off up to $1.68. Would that be the only thing that you changed, or were there other things that contribute to such a momentous rally on your stock?
Well, think about it this way. Last year after we changed, I think people assumed we might never finish this phase 3 study.
Uh-huh.
And they don't know that we're a cat of 29 lives, not just line lives. And so I think that's why the stock sold off so momentously, because then you no longer have to look at the fundamentals. They are now starting to see, and I'm saying starting to see the beginnings of what is, I think, going to be an amazing comeback of this phase 3 study. We're seeing huge increases in enrollment, centers being added, places that didn't enroll under the old group are now enrolling, and all of these things that should have gone right are finally starting to go right. I've always been convinced that the drug will work. Obviously, I wouldn't have stuck with it, but I can't show that unless I have patient accrual. Now I'm starting to get that more and more with every single month. And so we think we will be fully enrolled by the end of 2015, but will be the largest head and neck study ever conducted.
Now, let's go back to the Navy, because I wanted to understand that just a little bit more. We've got about 3 minutes, maybe 2.5 minutes left in the segment. Bring that back into the conversation.
It's a huge deal for the U.S. Navy because they've gone public saying we have HIV-infected people who need this treatment. The anal warts, they are not little warts, they're like cauliflower growths, and they can lead to anal cancer. 10 years ago, this disease wasn't serious because people tended to die from AIDS before this disease really arose. Now AIDS is a chronic disease, and HIV-infected people lead long lives. So HPV, the number one sexually transmitted disease, is becoming a big deal in them. Most people become infected during their lifetime. They clear it. HIV-infected people cannot clear it. and it grows these horrendous things. So 25 to 30% of the HIV-infected population in the U.S. and Europe have these warts, and the U.S. Navy is going to develop at the U.S. And actually the first study is about to start in San Diego Naval Base. They're going to pay for the study. They're going to run the study. They're going to be doing everything with the data going back to us, and we can then get approval on it.
Wonderful. All right, we're out of time. Before we go, one more time, please. Contact information for you so people can either read the white papers you've got on your website, or just reach out to talk to you about how they can know more about our conversation today.
Thank you. You can call us at our office at 703-506-9460, or you can go to our webpage at www.CEL-SCI, horizontal-SCI.com. CEL-SCI.com or 703-506-9460. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Geert. We'll talk to you soon.
Much appreciated, and have a wonderful day.
You too. Geert Kersten, CEO, CEL-SCI Corp, CEL-SCI.com, symbol CVM, Cash Victory Money. And special thanks to Monk Media and 1-800-PublicRelations.com for all their media and PR support. Coming up next, John Linderman, CEO, TriStar Wellness Solutions. More breakthrough information for you. We'll be right back.